welcome to the Trinity Force Podcast. Yo, it's that Triforce cast beaming straight to your home. Grab a beer so we know Pone ain't drinking alone. Send an email, a quick tweet, just pick up the phone. Leave a message, hit the beep if you're a creep, watch your tone. Discuss the meta game, patch notes, whatever helps your stats most. Obi-Pone Kenobi is your last hope to snatch gold. So grab your headphones and join in the fun. We'll try and force in some jokes and some cringeworthy puns. Yo, we can make it together, people. Trinity Force Podcast. These boys are second to none. Now that's the end of the intro. It's time we begun.
Hey guys, it's episode 474 of the Trinity Force Podcast. Adam Ponophobia Cogswell here, joined by Tin Can Nathan, Cereal Box Dom, and Marine Revenge. What up, guys?
What's going on? Not sure why that was so funny.
We can all get a tin can and try to talk through it, but I don't think
and the funny part
like
is the funny part is the way you rattled it off. It sounds like Tin Can was just another person in the list.
Oh.
What if that was his name?
Can we change your name from Heartless Beaver to Tin Can Nathan? If he doesn't lag out. Oh, shit.
I need to pay more attention. I didn't even realize it's what you said.
That's too many dabs, Marine.
I'm lagging pretty hard. You guys sound like you're in tin cans now, so I need to fix that.
He might be back, he might not be. This is going to be a fun one to try to throw together. So, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we're good now. We're good.
All right, so it all came back together. It all comes. So, guys, thank you guys for supporting us out there, patreon.com/TForce Network. Don't forget, we have a contest running, the Skylab Performance Tilt Contest. We only have a few of you that have sent in videos or images. So, if you want to win a Skylab Performance seating chair, email contest@trinityforcepodcast.com with an example of tilt to emulate the tilt control that is available on those chairs that you heard at the beginning of the show. We're taking entries up until the 30th, so you'll be able to get in there at that time. And then I'll pick a winner, and you'll get one shipped to you, United States and Canada only. Send us those tilt pictures or videos in. It's a really cool contest that's going on. So.
Is Todd available to send in the clip that you clipped earlier of him just destroying Groscore when he gets tilted? Because I think that's a pretty good example.
Oh man,
yeah, that is a perfect
excellent
example. I'm gonna use that one. Like,
I watched that a bunch of times.
You just get yourself a chair if you're like, I don't see one that's better than this. It's my own chair now.
I'm gonna make like a montage where it's my perspective and then his perspective, and then that'll be what I submit.
I want to see that.
I'm looking forward to it. I really am looking forward to it. So, and by the way, if you're in chat, I want to see guineas in chat. I know there's a bunch of Marine followers in here. Let's spam the shit out of that chat with some guineas. So we are going to talk some League of Legends tonight, as we always do each week. We have a weekly challenge for this week, and that's I want everybody out there to try a selfless build this week. Junglers, I want you to build Tracker's Knife. Supports, I want you to build only items that benefit your team. That means no more Sunfire or Gargoyles, Stone Plate, or any of those other items. Only items that benefit the team. Marksman, build an Executioner's Calling at some point. Top and mid laners, there's you can just pick up some more Red Wards. You can build a Knight's Vow. You can pick up an Athene's if you're a mid laner on some of those, Karma, Orianna, etc. Try some selfless build that helps your team carry toward the end goal of winning the game.
Yeah, it's very easy to go into the game and like take a look at the build or what you need to build for the enemy team. Like a full healing team for mid laners, Morella's is probably going to be really important to pick up at some point, even if you wouldn't normally throw that into your build.
That's a good one.
I don't see top laners on the weekly challenge, but I'd like to just add that I think tops can also build executioners pretty reliably. And there are certain top lane items like Randuins that can supplement for AoE CC for your team. Like they're definitely team top lane items too.
When I asked Adam about top and mid, he said, I don't know. I'm a pretend mid laner and I don't know anything about top. So that was the end of the conversation.
Yeah. I'm definitely a fake mid laner. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I just pick up items and hope they work.
You don't have to know how to mid lane. You just gotta play Karthus.
See, Karthus. I've also played Victor now because I get that stun down. The stun or slow field. That's all he needs, right? That's all guaranteed. Stun or slow field.
Or
like
a speed
Victor.
boost.
Victor's good. Victor's got nasty AoE, dude. He could solo carry on his own. We funnel him into like a bush together. Oh shit.
Yeah, that was my like second mid laner I picked up this season. So I don't remember if he's not. He kind of got bad after the Rylai's nerfs. So I don't know why we're even.
I told you guys.
We're going off of this train.
We need to make team comp like Leo. The works. Just 5-stack bushes.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
Death brush.
Death brush, right? See, that's all Marine wants, though. That's all he wants to do is sit in a bush.
That's how you win games. Dude. That works. Like it's how I climb.
We're spread like so. You'll always call like, hey, let's go hang out at this brush. And I'll be the one with you for some reason. And I'm like Tarek or Alistar, like somebody that's going to fuck up somebody that walks into that brush. And then we wait and we wait and we wait and find you're like, okay, I guess we gotta go do something more proactive. So I leave, and then you decide to hang back, and that's when somebody walks through. It's like you're trying to get rid of me, so I don't get an assist, and you get a solo kill.
I just want to make sure that my kills don't get stolen. Like.
All right. So let's talk about some of the items we have. Todd said that Jungle Ezreal is trash, and we cannot convince him otherwise. Is that true?
Okay, so
Go ahead.
Yeah, one of the reasons I think Todd doesn't like Ezreal is because he's very similar to Nidalee in his jungling, because he doesn't have any crowd control. So really, the only thing he has is like early pressure on lanes, and if Ezreals can't abuse their early pressure, then they kind of start to fall off, and then they can get sort of out jungled. And he also has to build like Triforce, which sucks out of the jungle just because it's so expensive. So if you don't snowball early, he doesn't really have the option to farm because he sucks at taking Krugs and Raptors. So he basically has to just gank people and hope he gets it. Kind of like Nidalee.
But isn't that the whole point of Jungle Ezreal? Is like you do 2 buffs plus a camp, and then you're just ganking all the time.
Exactly. That's the entire point of him. And you gotta hope that your ganks pay off, or else you're gonna be useless, basically.
I feel like the problem with Jungle Ezreal is that even if those ganks pay off, your team comp suffers so much from having him in the jungle that you like.
Yeah.
I feel like you need a lead on him to be even, basically.
Right.
Yeah, I have to agree. Like, that's definitely one of his serious cons. Like, you're picking an 80 carry in the jungle, and he's not like Graves, who's like kind of tanky, kind of a bruiser. And he's not like Nidalee, who can sit in the backline and like throw spears and one-shot people. He's an 80 carry in the jungle. So now you have 2 of them, and then you're probably lacking a tank. So it really like pinholes your top laner into playing like a CC tank, or else you guys are gonna have troubles being on an even footing later in the game. Sure.
Dude, I didn't even play CC tank. I played Mundo, and I just tanked turrets for my team
it's
while
enough.
my team.
As long as you can, if you can tank damage. But I mean, if anyone gets ahead in the jungle, they can kind of carry. But that's definitely one of his major disadvantages.
Yeah, I would say
happened?
Garen jungle's good, like if you get ahead, but I still wouldn't say it's like a viable pick by any means. And I don't know. I don't know what makes Ezreal like so popular. I don't get it.
Yeah, that was my question. I have no idea what. Good.
So he's pretty much since the dawn of League, he's been a good champion, but he's kind of hindered by the items he can build.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously he's absolutely terrible in the bot lane because he has to build a mana item first, and that makes him basically ineffective. But in the jungle, he builds like Warrior, Triforce, Bork. He basically gets to skip his mana item, so he gets an earlier power spike. He has an early clear, and he has really good mobility with his E. So he has like cool gank paths, but I still think that he's like a super snowball champion. So if he doesn't snowball games like Nid, then he's gonna start to fall behind and items. But I think he's really effective in the hands of like high quality junglers because they don't make many mistakes and they're able to like use his like red buff power. Because when he gets red buff, his Q applies it for such a lot of people. So I noticed a lot of like the NA people when they're trying to climb in Korea, they're using Ezreal to gain like elo pretty quickly because he can really snowball games. But I think if you're like plateaued in your elo, I don't think he's a good pick personally.
Well, no,
Is he the new Jungle Graves?
No, not by any means. The difference, the Jungle Graves can actually clear camps, right? Like Ezreal has to take 3 and then gank the entire time. I understand, like is he the jungle marksman?
I should clarify what I was trying to intend to mean there.
Yeah,
Is he the
I
new Jungle
think he's
Graves
not.
in that in that a lot of people are going to play him because, hey, AD carry out of the jungle and everything, but you actually have to be a really good jungler in order to do it well. And that was the mistake.
Yeah,
that was happening with Graves.
That's true. People love playing Ezreal. I mean, they play him in the bot lane still, even though they shouldn't. So I see why they're picking him up in the jungle. And yeah, you have to be a good jungler to be able to play him, because his like margin for error is so low. If you make mistakes, you're gonna fall too far behind. But the thing about Graves was he could counter jungle really effectively because he can take clamps like instantly with his Q. So he doesn't really just have one like path to victory. He doesn't just have to gank people like Ezreal. He can farm too, and like back when he was popular, he could just power farm, and that was sort of why he was better. And he's tanky too with his E, so that was broken. But,
yeah, True Grit definitely allowed him. True Grit allowed him to stay super healthy in the jungle. Now I know Ezreal right now has the fastest clear, but that's just clear up until what, level 3, right?
Level 3, yeah, 3 can't clear.
Because once you get there, then other junglers start getting ahead of him, but he gets to level 3 before anybody else. And of course, it's the red pressure. If you can use that 3-minute buff on the red pressure to walk around the map, it works well for you. But it's not something like we're talking about Jungle Ezreal because I've seen him in a solo queue game. Then I saw him a bunch this weekend when we played, or at least people trying to play him. And I'm just kind of always falling back to Todd's point. Like if you're out here listening to this podcast and you've seen Jungle Ezreal, you've seen it fail, it's because you are hindering your team. Like he's really hard to play with on your team because you are forced to completely play the game differently. Like no matter what your team looks like, it ends up suddenly being like a poke and disengage comp, just because you have one less CC out of anywhere, no matter what anybody else brings in the game. And so you have this poke disengage comp or this poke and catch comp, whatever you want to put, and then you also have to try to snowball that hard early, because as the game goes on, assuming the team has a traditional comp as we were used to seeing, Ezreal jungle can't compete because of the shortcomings that your team has. So you have to push that lead, you have to push it hard, you have to make it work for you. But Ezreal's always been really good about snowballing hard, and if he doesn't need that mana item because of blue, he's getting a lot of extra damage and he's able to chunk people down really quickly, thanks to his kit. So I understand why people are picking Jungle Ezreal. I understand why they're playing it, but I just don't like it, and I don't think it's worth at 2 months at the end of the season for anybody else to go out there that isn't Diamond 5 or higher right now to play that champion.
Yeah, I agree. Sorry, go ahead, Todd.
What if there's like a conspiracy theory about let's say some high elo players, so elo players who know high elo players said, hey, go play this champ and make it work so that low elo people will play it and be bad at it so we can climb easier. I wonder if that's possibly what happened.
Here's the thing. I'm going through and I'm looking at the stats and the divisions breakdown and everything, and it doesn't matter what rank you're in. Jungle Ezreal is hovering right around 50%. And so that's kind of betraying a lot of what we just said. Especially if he's supposed to, like conceptually, he's supposed to be bad out of the jungle, and he's succeeding just fine. There's a lot of evidence then suggesting that it's a lot better than we're really giving it credit.
I do have a theory for this. So I think at high elo, Ezreal is better because when you give higher elo laners like lane pressure, either by getting a kill or even just poking out the enemy, they're a lot better at taking advantage of that and then themselves snowballing that into a bigger and bigger lead. I'm sure Todd can attest to this. If you get him a kill early, then he's going to be able to walk all over the enemy top laner. And that's another reason why Nidalee was good. You would always see those early that early pressure because of the clear times translate into lane pressure, which then your laners can help you snowball the game. But in lower elo, you have to remember Ezreal is still an 80 carry. So if the game goes 50 minutes long, you're still going to be powerful because you can scale basically into a second 80 carry for your team. And that might be one of the reasons why he's hovering around 50%. But I think if maybe we look down at the breakdown, 0 to 25 minutes or something, he might have a lower win rate than later in the game in those lower elo games like silver and bronze sort of area.
So maybe the question, maybe we shouldn't be addressing all of our listeners like they're going to be the ones playing Jungle Ezreal or the ones thinking about it and saying, hey, don't, because not all of the people that play this game listen to this show. So what do you do if you get a Jungle Ezreal on your team and everything, understanding that we just outlined the limitations? Now we can advise you, make some recommendations or what you should do to play around that.
Excuse me.
God, you really hope that person at least hovers it or picks it early, because if you don't know that it's coming until the 5th pick and you don't like put something around there to change your comp a little bit, that's got to be one of the most demoralizing things to see. But yeah, you set it up. Like anyone, like you're saying Mundo earlier, great. He peels well for 80 carries. He's a tanky mofo. Like that's what you want for a comp that's going to have probably 2 of the same kind of character.
I mean, our only lockdown in that, I mean, it was Rakan and I guess Zaya. That was the extent of our hard crown control, and then Dr. Mundo. I mean, I guess you have the Fizz Shark and everything, but Whale was playing that, and he's not using it to engage. He's using it to murder somebody, and I love that about Whale.
No. He was using it to engage. Like
was
he
he?
was,
He was
yeah.
splitting.
He was engaging on Vayne every fight we had. Like he was the reason. He was the reason that the fight would start, and then you would notice that something was going on and go right in. Right. Like if we were playing, when we played with it yesterday, we had to play that game. I won't say perfectly because we made a lot of mistakes, and so did the enemy team. But we had to try to play team fights near perfectly to where we're using our rotations, backing out, and then going back in when our rotations are back up or our cooldowns are back and available. And with Ezreal, those are pretty quick, right? They're, the E goes down with some Q hits down to 5 or 6 seconds. So when you're playing with an Ezreal, you have to have that ebb and flow with team fights. It's not your normal all-in engage, jump to the back line. It's poke, get them down, and then try to engage onto it. But yeah, if you have a Jungle Ezreal that's first, second pick, you kind of have to supplement the team comp, and you have to go against everything we've ever told you about not trying to do that, where like support's picking Rakan or support's picking Leona. Like you have to bring something into there. You can't just pick a full-on engage comp, especially down low elo, because nobody's fucking gonna know. Everyone tries to fully engage all the time down in silver and bronze because everyone's just fight. And what's humorous is if you look at the win rate by tiers, the win rate by tiers is actually the highest in silver and bronze, and it's almost dead even in gold, and platinum and diamond it's lower than anywhere else. And I'm assuming, I mean, it's not much lower, right? Like it's 4.09. It's 49% in diamond, and it is 50.23% in silver. So it's really not that much big of a difference, but you can imagine that people have a better understanding of how to play against the champion once they are in diamond. But what's 1%? I mean, I'm just making shit up at this point.
I'm not sure what you were trying to drive at that point.
At first I was trying to drive that it was lower, but then I kind of looked through it and I talked my way through that one and realized that the point that I was making was not the point that was going to go anywhere.
Well, it's that people aren't. You were saying that, or I think where you can infer from that is that people at higher elos know how to play against it and don't get caught off guard by the holy shit. He's at my lane so much earlier than I thought he should be. Like they know they know why Ezreal clears quickly and know what he's going to clear. So you understand what to like play around where you might not in lower elos.
So Nathan, if you're playing into a jungle Ezreal, are you trying to counter jungle early? Maybe take blue, Gromp, red.
No, you can do that sort of mid game, but early game you really just want to find out where he's starting. So if he's starting, usually they're going to start bot side so they get a better leash. But you want to find that information out so that you can counter gank him or just like make sure your laners don't get into fights. So if you're playing someone like just like a Cho'Gath, like a classic pick like that, you're not going to be really useful in a 2v2 compared to like an Ezreal and another laner because he's going to have way more damage than you, more mobility. So it's better for you to just track him and make sure that he can't use his early like level 3 power spike and double buff pressure to take advantage. And if you're playing in low elo especially, like make sure your laners are safe because they're going to want to overextend, so make sure to ping them back if you think you know where Ezreal is. And then you can start to take advantage of his camps maybe at sort of the 5 or 6 minute mark, I would say. Yeah, but definitely try to just track him early. That's the most important thing to do. And if you are playing someone like Elisa or whoever who can actually duel in a 2v2, then you can sort of counter gank him because he's definitely going to be wanting to go for those ganks. And if he's just farming his jungle, then just do the same thing because he's going to be useless and he can't do it as quick as pretty much any jungler. So yeah, that's what I'd say.
Don't we wish it was Season 1 when Tiamat worked with Ezreal Q? Think about
And
how
every support took clairvoyance.
think how bad this could be. See, I know whenever I bring up old seasons, Todd's all about it. Todd's
Yeah,
that dude who
smile
play
so
on fucking
much.
legacy servers, man.
I mean, if season 1 server was populated, I would go back just to play the original Trinity a couple times.
Of course. He's like that. He's like that old man that sits around the fire with a harmonica, and let me tell you a story, boys.
Yeah, I started playing in season 5, so I don't remember the old days.
I got a baby.
I think they were awesome, but we actually had this debate on an episode just a couple episodes ago.
Yeah, we did actually. You're right. Cereal Box, we lost him, but he'll be back. So. I think we're going to move on from Jungle Ezreal. We're just kind of giving a brief discussion since it's being played a lot and being talked about. I want to talk about this theory that I like that Nathan actually brought up. And now that we're halfway through the show, I'm going to apologize for the tin can once again. I have a microphone headed to him, so hopefully in a week
sorry
or so.
guys. It's my bad.
So
I'll be clear soon.
Hopefully, right?
Yeah.
So this theory, it's a 40-40-20 theory. The way it works is that, in theory, you're going to win 40% of your solo queue games no matter what. You're going to lose 40% of your games no matter what, and it's the 20% of the games that you have control, or well, you don't necessarily have, or you do have control over, but it's 20% of your games, your decisions will have direct input on the outcome of the game. And it's something to remember when you're going into solo queue. So when you're looking at win rates and whatnot, that you're guaranteed to, you're not guaranteed, but you're almost guaranteed to win 40% of the games as long as you're playing well and you're trying to win. So what can we do with that 20%, or how can we use that mentality to turn that 20% into a higher win rate?
I think the biggest thing to point out is that in those 20%, a lot of those are really hard games where you have to play from behind. So not getting discouraged when you're behind early is something that I think a lot of people kind of struggle with. I see it at every elo. And I'm, everybody's kind of a victim of it at some point. But if you get consistently tilted, like, say you die once in lane, and you're just the kind of person who can't just go back to lane then and just play it out safely, you feel like, you almost have to prove to yourself that, oh no, last time was a fluke, like I can definitely take this guy. That kind of leads to poor decision making in game, and that'll swing that 20% negatively.
Yeah, Nathan.
Yeah.
Can I ask you where you because I know you're the one who put this in the document, and I do like it because it makes sense to me, at least. But where did you pull the theory from exactly?
I don't remember. I think I watched a YouTube video on it about 2 years ago when I started really playing, really trying to climb hard. I got placed in bronze 3 after my original 10 placements. I was like, man, I didn't think I was going to be this bad, but it turns out I was. So I started to do some research on how I could get better. I came across this theory. I can't remember whose video it was. But basically the concept is when you win those 40% of games, as long as you're trying, you're probably going to win them because, maybe you got a fed mid laner or a jungler and they'll just carry you. But I think one of the most important parts is the losses. So sometimes in the current state of the game, someone's going to get autofilled, and maybe they're autofilled from top to 80 carry. Or jungle to 80 carry like me. And they just feed, and there's nothing you could do about that game. And those losses feel so much worse than those free wins you've got when a laner's ahead. And it's really important to just take a step back and say, look, I tried my hardest. I didn't make too many mistakes, and there's really nothing I could do about that loss. So don't get lost in it. Just take a small break and move on to the next game. Because I see way too many people tilt. So they're like, oh, I had an AFK one game. Or they're always complaining about AFKs in their game, but there's probably been just as many AFKs for the enemy team, but they don't remember those because they didn't hurt as much as the loss did. So they carry that tilt over into the next game, and then you're going to make more and more mistakes, and then you're going to lose more and more of those sort of 20%. But yeah, if you are looking to improve, I would say, first of all, try the mentality sort of area, make sure you have a positive attitude. And then secondly, like Todd was saying, in those close games, you really have to be focused. And if you do end up losing a tight one, sort of reflect on it and say, what mistake did I make that changed the game? Not your teammates Vayne tumbled in at 40 minutes and got bound by Morgana. But, maybe the game wouldn't have got to 40 minutes if you decided to take Baron at 30.
There's There's like
So-
a certain amount of personal responsibility in improving
Exactly.
and in reflecting on your own play.
Well, speaking
Yeah.
to that reflecting, I mean, it's not unreasonable for this 40-40-20 rule either, because the 20% isn't arbitrary, right? Because you account for 1/5 of the players on, the players on your team. So over the course of 100 games, it's reasonable to think that you would have influence over 20 of those games. Like 20 of those games could have been the reason that you won or lost. You could have been the reason you won or lost in 20 of those games. So using that 20% rule, it will allow you to go back and, like I said, Todd said, reflect on a lot of those games. Look at what happened. I know that, like earlier, Todd, when you were playing into Grow Score earlier today, I thought you guys were going to lose the game at one point because you got caught out in mid lane. Like 5-man fucking raped you. I hate the word raped, but they hurt you. They destroyed you. They killed you.
Yeah, dude, I know exactly what part you're talking about.
And I was
too.
like, fuck,
I
Todd
thought
just
it
threw
was
this
over.
game. I'm like, he threw this game. This was his fault. And then the team came back and they won because of timers and whatnot. Or, the team came back and defended. But yeah, it was like that point where I think Todd, if he would have lost the game, would have gone and reflected like, I should not have fucking been here. I was headhunting at the wrong time.
Dude, the worst part was I was like clearing a pink in the bush and they had a twisted fate. So like, obviously this is unsafe, but I just felt so confident I could get away with it. And sometimes it's that overconfidence that will lose you a match.
Yeah, I was thinking about those like games where you have those AFKs you're talking about, and there's like I think a lot of gamblers' fallacy comes into play after you've had one of those games that, oh well, the last 2 games I've had the team that's fed or I've had the team that's AFK'd. I'll jump back into another game and it'll be great, and then you turn into that person or another person does it, and you're like, how could this happen to me so many times in a row? So that mentality is real clutch, I think.
And it tends to balance out. Like if you have a bad night and you play 5 matches and you lose 4 of them, and you take a break finally and you get some rest and you come back, your MMR may have dropped a little bit, but you come back refreshed. The MMRs is down a little. The games are slightly easier, and you kind of get back into the groove of things. And they usually tend to balance out. It's normal for your elo to fluctuate, so you don't take the losses to heart.
Yeah, and you're never going to climb if you just blame your teammates. You just have to really. The only thing you can work on is your mistakes. You can't fix your teammates' mistakes. So just try to focus on what you can do better each game, and that's what's going to help you climb. Not blaming others for
So
losses.
over the course of us talking about this and over the course of the years, I've been looking at my OPGG, and we've talked about streaky players. And I always kept telling myself, I'm not a very streaky player. There's no way. But then I went and started looking at my OPGG not too long ago, and I realized I am super, super, super streaky. Like, I had 5 losses in a row, followed up by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 wins, followed by 3 losses, followed by 6 wins. Like, and yeah, I broke that 3-loss streak early, but that 3-loss streak could have easily been a 6-loss streak if I wasn't careful. But it's like that pattern has helped me look, and this happened last year too when I was making my grind in Diamond. I realized I was a streaky player, and I'm trying to use that because I realize if I wake up and I lose a couple in a row, I'm like, all right, I'm just going to start playing fucking normals because I need to get this losses or whatever's in my system out of my system, and I need to hit that win because if I hit that win, I feel good about myself and I can get back into the game and start playing harder. And that's the thing that I've been doing to try to make it so that I get those awesome win streaks to push through.
That's a really good idea, and I know it feels counterintuitive to bring that up, like especially as we, when we're in the home stretch of the season and everything. But like, if you lose a couple games and you only got the 1 or maybe 2 days to really put in some time, and you really want to, like getting yourself just straightened out, I guess, in normal games, like will really go a long way to sort of bringing your confidence back up.
Yeah, especially because I think a lot of our normal elos are probably a lot lower than our diamond or flex elos.
I have no idea what my normal MMR is like.
Yeah, right. If you don't like normals, even just play like ARAM or something fun like that.
Dude,
With
fucking
featured
Arabs
game mode.
tilt me. They tilt me so hard. I swear to God, over the last year, my Aram win rate has decreased. I've got like 300 more wins and losses than Aram, but every time I play fucking Aram, I lose. And then I blame it on the shitty enemy or my shitty team of broads and silvers. But
It's about having fun, man. You build full AP Malphite.
I do love me some full AP Malphite. I also love me some full attack speed Braum and Arams.
I bring the ARAM mentality to solo queue. Just full
Yeah,
AD,
we know.
whatever.
We know. All
My
right.
God, about a month ago, I could not win an ARAM game to save my life.
Dude, Dom, I
Something
feel
like
you.
I was like 2-10. It was brutal.
why
But it's fine. I was getting the losses out of like I think that's what I told myself. I would do a warm up ARAM and then I would lose. I'd be like, all right, well I got the loss out of the system. We get to go.
That's why I want somebody to play ARAMs. I think Nathan plays ARAMs, so he's gonna be my ARAM buddy
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, I do play ARMS.
Most people won't. They're like, "Oh, ARAM sucks." I'm like, "Dude, ARAM's great when you only have like an hour to play and you just need a couple quick
That's
games."
true. And my sister only plays ARM, so she's always paying me to play with her. So that's why I play so many.
I wondered. I
Man.
looked at your profile. I think when you first messaged us, I'm like, "Dude, this guy's diamond, but he plays a fuckload of ARAMs. What's going
Yeah.
on?"
And she has an OP ARM account. She like always gets Sona somehow.
Oh my God. She's one of
should
those players.
We definitely have to talk about like game length someday because I feel like the length of League is like responsible for a lot of its issues.
Let's bring it up on Wednesday. Let's have a good, because that way we can formulate our thoughts. I think that's a good discussion. Dom wanted to talk
Yeah, I
about
agree.
mentality as it pertains to longer games, so that could potentially, Dom, there we go. We could potentially make that conversation into something based on
Yeah,
Todd's question.
we were both just like, well, the thing is, you make mistakes at late as when games get long, and there's no conversation. But we're wrong. Todd is bringing it up. He's got stuff to say.
Someone write that down. Someone with a pen and paper write Todd's thing down before we forget.
We have
I
a
got-
Google
I got
Doc right here.
I don't. I have a PDF in front of me.
Oh my gosh.
Dom's
Control
the,
tab.
Dom's
worry,
the
I got
Google
it. I got it.
expert.
I'm working at it. Shut up. You are.
Well, Dom, we already talked about knowledge is power because we talked about not building Thornmail all the time.
Okay.
So I just wanted to, I forgot to tell you that. Hey, before we move into listener questions, I want to take a moment and tell you guys, I already said it in the Slack chat, but I want to tell the listeners, I had a really cool interaction today at Chipotle of all places. I was standing there paying for my stuff, and I had a League of Legends lanyard on. And the dude goes, "Man, I really like your lanyard. Where'd you get it?" And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, we went to the Riot Party last year at PAX East." He's like, "Oh my God." I'm not even exaggerating. He goes, "Oh my God, no way. That's so cool." He goes, "Do you play?" I'm like, "Yeah, I actually have the biggest podcast, da 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 da." He goes, "Oh my God." I'm like, "Dude, are you okay?" He's like, "Write that down." Here, I write it down. He's like, "What?" He goes, "Can I add you in game?" "Yeah." "Here you go. What rank are you?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm Plat 3 in Flex, and I was Diamond last season." He's like, "Oh shit, man, you must be so good." I'm like, "Nah, just listen to the podcast, dude. I'll add you in game." But I thought that was like a really
this
cool
a dream?
interaction. No, it was legit.
Dream that you had? 'Cause I
It was
feel
such
like
a
it might
cool
have been a
interaction
dream.
just because somebody saw the lanyard and actually said something about it. And I've never had anybody ever point out that lanyard, the League of Legends lanyard that I had around my neck before. So
Nice. I wear the polo out sometimes, and people ask what it is.
and you
'Cause-
just go, "That's a shitty ass little website that I'm part of." I don't know.
yeah, that is the exact words. That's weird. It's like you've been there.
None of this happens to me because I don't have cool TF podcast swag.
Yo, do you,
Yeah.
no, you do that patch. Show the patch. Do you have the patch?
That microphone.
I
Bring your
actually
microphone
do
with
have
you.
I got a button too technically. Okay, so I lied, but I mean, I need like a flag or something.
I'm told you, I'm working on it. I promise.
Work on flags.
He wants a flag behind him. I told him I'd work on it. Look at that. Look, he's got the patch.
Nice.
He's just got to now affix that to someone. Affix to his bong or something and take it out. I don't know.
Just like put it on one of my shirts. Boom. Like, what up?
All right,
You
let's.
sew it onto your shirt every morning.
That would be great.
Sew it and unsew it, so I can wear it every day.
All right, let's talk listener questions because we got a lot of them to get through in about 30 minutes to do some. So, Flank Nut writes in: Is it worth trying to climb by playing a support that relies on boosting your ADC and taking the risk that your ADC is competent, or should you play supports who can carry regardless of your marksman?
Play what you want, dude. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Its meta is great for the former. Like the protecting AD carries is going real well right now. So
It is,
I don't know
but
why
you-
you wouldn't do that.
It is, but you hit the nail on the head in that like you have to have confidence that your AD carry is competent, and depending on your MMR, like it's really hit or miss on that. So if you're a lot more confident on Alistar or Blitzcrank or Leona or something, like just go with that type of champion. Like Blitzcrank is a low MMR solo queue terror for a reason. And just all those type of champions can really turn a game around in short order. You can never really lose a game because you pick that champion, but you're just as likely to win.
Yeah, and you have a much lower chance of winning if you pick someone who's not an actual support like Lux. So
Yeah, man, don't do that.
She just doesn't have the utility that those other champs have. Even if you don't know how to
So-
play Alistar, you still have utility.
So what's funny, you mentioned Lux, and like I'm all aboard the I hate Lux support train, but somebody brought that up in our summoner school about a week ago, and people were jumping his shit for saying that support Lux is bad. They're like, oh, the Koreans do this, and support Lux can do this, and she got the shield and the baby. And I'm like, I wasn't gonna sit down and argue, but like I still don't understand why you would play support Lux when you have so many other champions that can do exactly the same thing and have better better ratios or have more base damage than she does.
Or with less
Yeah.
need for gold. Like, you don't need as much. Lux need some gold later on.
Right.
And I don't think citing good players as a reason to play a champion is fair, because I mean, I don't know if you guys ever saw that series a long time ago, but Aframu was playing like lower elo. And he just picked like Aurelia support or whoever. He has so much game knowledge, it doesn't matter who he's playing, he's going to be able to carry a game. So just because some Koreans play Lux properly in the bot lane doesn't mean you have the skills to do it, because that's more about game knowledge than the actual champion that they're playing. So.
And it didn't happen. I mean, based on Oracle's Elixir, it didn't happen this last split. So, like in an actual game, it might have happened in solo queue, but like don't read into that. It didn't happen in professional.
Right. So next question in the document from Dark Rinku, who is one of the co-hosts of the Four Words podcast, which is a really good question, and I'm really surprised we never brought it up, is that he goes, could you explain Ardent Sensor a bit more? You guys keep talking about how powerful it is, but I feel like a lot of people really don't understand why it is so good.
Oh boy.
I mean, the short of why it's so good is that you are giving free offensive stats to your team, and particularly free beneficial offensive stats to your AD carry in most cases. You're giving the AD carry attack speed, which they love, and then you're giving them on-hit bonus life drain, which means that they are dealing damage and getting that damage back as health for themselves, which kind of, works really well with the free attack speed that they're getting, to begin with. These free stats are contingent upon you being able to provide a shield or a heal effect to your team, but it's free stats basically. And so, these are big, meaningful stats that they don't have to pay for it. They can focus on itemizing, in very different ways because they have an Ardent Sensor buff coming their way.
Yeah,
I would-
to
I would,
put it in like simple. Go for it, boys.
Okay.
Step in.
What I would just say real quickly is that so when you think about how AD carry is itemized, and the reason they build the items that they do and the order that they do is that you need like a certain combination of AD attack speed, critical strike, and armor pen, at different stages of the game in order to have the most effective damage curve, right? So when you supplement extra attack speed or extra lifesteal, you're allowing them to either, get more benefit out of whatever their current build is, or you open up their build pathways so that characters can be either more flexible or characters that weren't as strong become significantly stronger.
So,
my part in that was going to be that a lot of the champions that are abusing Ardent Sensor also have the ability to share it with more than just one person. Like Sona, for example, if she gets, obviously her W only heals one person, but the shield you can apply to everybody. And suddenly, this a bad comparison would be when you get Elder Drake. Elder Drake, it increases the effectiveness of everybody whenever they deal damage. This isn't quite to that level, but you're still making everyone in a team fight deal more damage, attack faster, steal life back, and obviously, as we were saying for the AD carries, that is every single stat that they want in the game. There's nothing else that they want more than that. Plus, everyone who usually gets those has wind speakers as well, and is doubling up on heal shield power, which makes Ardent Sensor better. Ardent Sensor makes those better. Everything about it just stacks on itself to make your people more difficult to kill and more effective at their job, which is crazy.
Yeah, to put it in gold terms, a Janna, who you also remember gives the AD bonus on her E at level 9 with max rank E and Ardent Sensor, and Windspeaker's Blessing gives an AD carry 4,500 gold worth of stats. So
that's a lot.
That's a lot.
The funny part is
lot.
they've made this available to a number of the supports now, but way back when they changed Sona's kit completely because they didn't like the free stats that she was giving everybody. just for hanging around.
Yeah, they did that.
I mean, they took it away from Aegis. Like Locket now doesn't have it. Like they've taken away free stats that are given to people from pretty much. I mean, obviously, I'm not trying to go back to like Soul Shroud because that's a really deep pull for like giving I think cooldown reduction in an aura. But
Man, what was
they've taken away a lot of that.
What was the lifesteal item originally called? It was
Zeke's
Harbinger.
Stark's
Fervor.
Stark's Fervor. Shit, that's right.
That item was badass.
It was not good.
Yeah, a Vamp Scepter on a
It was
support.
great.
Let me go ahead and grab that.
Dude,
it was terrible to buy it as a support, and it was so great for the rest of your team to have it.
It was AoE flat armor reduction and lifesteal. It was bonkers, dude.
Yeah, great item in thought, but terrible build path in practice, right? Like, who wants to set a Vamp Center free? It was more than that. I think it was like 850, 900 gold at that point, too.
Dude, imagine if it had the armor reduction passive today. I feel like League is at a state now where like some of those old items would be way ridiculous today.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. There's a lot of them like that. And it's interesting that they're talking about adding a...
Shield reducer.
Say it again.
The shield reducer,
The
like an
shield
item that
reducer,
counters
right.
shields.
But I'm actually mad about it. I'm going to see what it is. I'm probably mad. I'm mad in theory, but in practice, again, I'm not going to be mad because I don't want to have to build another item to bust through shields or be able to pop. Like, I don't want to have to be Tristana, and my third item has to be that shield reducer, kind of like Executioner's Calling. It needs to cost like 800 gold for me to want to be able to purchase it. Otherwise, it's
going to really suck if this game devolves into like rock, paper, scissors with items.
They just need to go through and take care of shield creep, but... I'm interested to see. So Ardent Sensor on the PBE right now, it's going from what is it? It's flat attack speed,
It's
right?
like 25.
Yeah. So they're changing it to be scaling 20 to 40% attack speed, and then they're also adding 20 to 40 damage on hit, which I really do think that makes that item better than it is now. Like the lifesteal is great.
Yeah. Wait. What?
But they're
It
doesn't drain health. It doesn't drain.
One of the most important parts about the health drain is that AD carries can build Infinity Edge double zeal item, and then they still have lifesteal because they're getting their Enchantress support to give it to them. So they don't have to go like third item Vamp Scepter or something.
That's kind of what I was getting at originally, where it changes their build path, and it's kind of warped the AD carry role into being like overly powerful.
Yeah, they get to build really greedy items and get away with it now.
Nothing wrong with that. ADC in 2017, lol.
Yeah, I think that's what they mentioned in developers' notes that they wanted to remove one of the three components, and changing it from drain and putting some of the power back into those is exactly what they were saying. And I think that seems smart to not completely gut it, but it's honestly been so strong for so long since Coin became viable that they really need to look at it.
Strong way before.
It's strong before then, but just no one used it. It wasn't obvious because everyone wasn't building it back then because coin supports weren't being used.
So speaking to support items, did you guys see that there are some marksmen out there that are now picking up Relic Shield as their first item instead of a Doran's or any Doran's items because they want their support to rush into Ardent Sensor more quickly? Like if
interesting.
If you know that if you know that you don't have any kill pressure,
Todd's shaking his head.
Right. If you know that you don't have any kill pressure and that they don't have like crazy kill pressure on you, as an AD carry, you pick up Relic Shield and you use that to help your support get into Ardent Sensor more quickly because you don't need the Dorans.
That's gonna get nerfed. I think it's really, really unhealthy for the game to be at a point where the most important thing to happen is the support getting one item. Like that's a horrible state for the game to be in.
And it's already going to get nerfed with this new PBE change. Like that's already making that rush worse because if you get Ardent Sensor like in lane super early and you have that lifesteal throughout lane, that's pretty crazy. But if you don't have lifesteal anymore, that whole I can stay in lane forever now as long as my support can shield me like once a wave, like then you're pretty much done.
You're right.
What's
Sorry,
next?
I was replying to the Twitch chat.
I'm pretty sure was that in the Afrika game where the Twitch built that? He took him and Janna took Wolves at level 1 too. So I don't know. Hopefully that doesn't come back because I hate when bot laners take jungle camps.
Oh, excuse
It's
me.
the worst.
Oh, they must have been red side.
Yeah, they were.
Oh god.
Dude, I remember we were playing and I was like, hey, do you want this red? And you were like, yeah, I definitely want it. So then I went up to your golems and you were like, oh, I also wanted those.
Hey, this is my lane. Go away.
I'm sorry. At about 12 minutes, your camps are free for all.
Hey man, I camped you for the last few games, so I was hoping you wouldn't take my camps.
Oh,
but
camp.
maybe I'm gonna have to go somewhere else now. I go mid lane.
Tonight's gonna be rough. Oh no, I'm happy. Never mind. Tonight'll be good.
No, fuck you. He doesn't. Dude, it's supposed to be me. I must wear fucking jungler repellent because I sat mid lane forever and I don't see it. Goddamn.
Have I ever ganked for you? Not even
No,
once.
not once.
I came into the bush once and the Oriana backed off. I remember. I was like,
Yeah,
let's
Oriana
go.
backed off the time you guys were to come up for
Overextend.
Lux. I pop Lux to less than a quarter life, so she backed away. I'm like, well, fuck.
Man, but seriously though, on a note related to the league, like if you guys are junglers out there in silver and gold, top lane is so easy to gank because the lane is so long. You can just sit up there and kill them over and over again. And then
If you have someone you can trust, you can turn
Yeah.
that to a victory.
exactly, I think the top jungle duo is one of the best to climb with. And you guys can, even if the rest of your team feeds, you can carry the game through split pushing and like Baron decisions. So, I mean, I could talk to that for like 20 minutes, but
Save it for the
top
next jungle
laners-
episode when you have a better.
yeah, save it for the next one. When I have a better microphone, you might
Right.
be able to hear what I'm talking about.
Let's move on to resiliency. I'm not trying to cut you off. I'm just gonna move on to the next question.
No, for sure.
Before you end up talking about jungle again, I think everyone's sick of it. I know I am. Resiliency writes in, how good is Talon out of top lane? I'm having a lot of fun with his kit and the assassin playstyle, but I'd rather keep it to top lane than play it out of mid. Any tips, tricks, or opinions would be appreciated.
And it's a shame we don't have Santana with us because he likes playing Talon out of top.
Right. Yeah, unfortunately, I have nothing to say about top Talon.
I mean, all I would say is Thunderlord's Flash Ignite top Talon is like pretty dirty early game. I've gotten cheesed by it a few times. It kind of reminds me of the Rengar early lane pressure a little bit.
Well, Pantheon too.
Yeah, and in Pantheon as well. But you're pretty much forced into snowballing pre-6 because he starts to struggle against a lot of the bruisers who survive his initial rotation. And he's also got weak disengage from I wouldn't say weak disengage, but like he can be it just really depends where he's positioned, but it's easy for his binary escapes to be just they're not reliable basically. So you get,
And then like you have to be really, really mindful of the cooldowns, like of the environmental cooldowns after that point, because you might get out of jail once and everything, but as we just said, the jungler's coming right back top, and now they know you don't have a good way out.
And if you do happen to get the early Leon Talon, a good way to snowball it is to get yourself into the enemy topside jungle and ward it up. So you can either catch them out going from camp to camp, or you can know when it's easy to roam to mid lane. Because that's one of Talon's greatest strengths is roaming. And you need to, if you do get the lead in lane, you should take advantage of his strong roaming.
He is pretty good out of top, and he has like a. I mean, you got to go for that level 2 first blood, or at least the level 2 kill and everything, because he has a lot of really early power. And on a top lane, odds are good you're not running into a ranged matchup at all. Like it's more likely that you're going to run into a melee opponent, and by virtue of that, like you sort of have the windows available to you to get the job done and everything. And that's sort of I think why people like him out of top, whereas in mid lane, they can play further back, and you have to really play up and just get in front of them to take that lane over.
Yeah, lots of good ability to roam in the enemy jungle and help your jungler out to take camps to get back to lane really quickly, or not take camps, but to kill the enemy jungler and get back to lane quickly. He's got a really good win rate, 55.8% out of top lane, according to Champion GG, but with only a 0.85% play rate. So it's all about that level 2 all in. I think Todd really hits nail on the head there. You hit the 2 all in, and then you just dominate the lane through your kill pressure, and then you're roaming a lot around. So just being able to establish dominance allows you to play top talent effectively.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know how to play against early aggression in lane. Like that's so one-sided. They won't know how to play back. So take advantage of people not knowing your power spikes. Sure.
Well, it's sorry, resiliency. If Santana comes back, we'll hit that again. I'll just remember to ask him more about it because I know he plays a little more talent than the rest of us. Thermal Victor.
Or maybe just like uncross it out and then we can ask it again.
No, what I'll do is I'll have Santana give me a synopsis of it, and then I'll send it over to the guy, right? So Thermal Victor writes in, I have only done one placement match so far this season. I'm not the best at League, but I'm also not the worst. I'm worried that if I work through my placements and just suck hard all through through all of them. I will be flamed by my teammates who are trying to climb at the end of the season. Do you think I should just suck it up and finish my placements so I can at least get ranked before the season ends, or should I wait until next season to try to avoid the flame I might get if I stink out loud?
Mute button. Done.
Yeah.
Just mute them if you're scared. If you're concerned about that, just mute
other
them.
people, man. Fuck what other people think about you and how you play. Screw them. Play to the best of your ability. Like, you're never going to get good if you don't go play against better players. You're never going to get good if you don't play this game. So, like, why are you letting other players dictate how you play this game? The same thing they say, you dance if you want to, right? Dance in public. Why are you letting other people dictate how you live your life?
And think about this: if you end up like doing well in like a game, like think about it, you might have just helped somebody on their climb at the end of the season. So maybe spin it around the other way. And I mean, you can keep them muted still, but that's not.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you kind of got a confidence issue going on here more than anything else. But you haven't. I mean, based just on the question that we received and everything, you haven't really done anything to warrant like not having confidence in your own ability. You know, you haven't played much, or you haven't played much ranked at all, and so you're basing this on anecdotal evidence from normal games. And maybe you're tracking how you've done and everything, but if you're like, you know, go for it, see what happens and everything, and have some faith in yourself. What's the worst that's gonna happen? You're gonna place in bronze. Okay, now you have a starting point going forward.
Yeah, you've got nothing to. We've all been in bronze.
I mean, if you're trying to avoid, I mean, it sounds like what he's really concerned about is he just doesn't want to be attacked if he underperforms, and he's probably worried that the ranked environment is what's going to foster that mentality. But the truth is, there's always going to be somebody immature. They're always, rightfully or not, somebody's going to always blame something on somebody else, and if you happen to be the target of that, like, you know, just accept it for what it is. Like, it's just misplaced anger. You know, they'll not get to you.
And I still do that. If anyone is ever negative towards me in a game, I instantly mute them, either team, because that's just going to make me more frustrated, and I don't need to listen to that. I'm just going to play my own game.
Dude, Todd, I almost yelled at you earlier in chat, but I didn't feel like it. You were fucking arguing with your jungler, and I think it was your first game, and I was about to yell at you and be like, dude, can you just stop? You're tilting me by arguing with this guy. I mean, I know you have time to type because you're like walking back to lane and shit, but you're tilting your own players by fucking trying to prove that you're right.
Dude, I know what you're
Was that a
talking
subtle
about,
burn
like,
on him not taking teleport?
No, it wasn't at all. I'm okay with him taking Ignite all the time.
Yeah, I love it when he takes.
Dude, the problem is that, like, it was Nidalee, right? Already unhappy with the jungler.
Oh, Jesus.
And then he wanted to tell me how, like what I did wrong, and because I didn't flash Ignite who he thought I could kill. And I'm like, no, dude, I know my character. Don't tell me how to play, motherfucker. And then I carried that son of a bitch to a victory.
Why can't you just swallow your pride and not say anything and just ignore him and just keep it fucking going? Keep that fucking pain train going.
Man, sometimes I do, but like other times it just really gets under my skin.
I feel
don't
like
like
you're in the mood, so.
I've never known Todd to start shit with people, but anytime people try to start it with him, they usually get it right back in their face.
I don't know.
That's fine. Honestly, there is like a merit to, yes, it's better to just ignore people and not fight with them and everything, but you know what? It also sucks to get put down, and like it can feel pretty good to stand up for yourself. And some people need to do that. And like, you're not wrong for standing up for yourself. I'm sorry. I just can't discourage people from trying to stand their ground and stand up for themselves.
There's definitely a line where it's like you can defend yourself without stooping to the other person's level and also attacking them.
Mm-hmm. You can defend yourself by playing well, basically.
Yeah, and I'm not saying I did that because I was like STFU in the chat all day long, but
it's all right. If you don't think I'm not going to call you out for your shit when you're streaming, in front of 15,000 podcast listeners, you're wrong, because I've had my shit called out plenty of times. I just got to turn it back around.
I do find that criticism really funny coming out of you.
I know, right?
You've come a long way, but I still remember season 3 Adam.
Listen, we don't talk about season 3, Adam. We don't talk about that at all.
Season 3 was the dark days.
Yeah, you want to hear bad? You think what you said today was bad? You should have seen season 3, Adam. He'd stand at base for 20 minutes and argue with your ass. Pretty much AFK. I have one last question here in the doc that I want to talk about. Sir Maknina writes in, And I was gonna reply to this guy with an email because I remember sitting in the shower and having shower thoughts and thinking about this one and being like, this is why I just need to reply and tell you. But it's perfect that it came out tonight. So Fiddlesticks Sir Machina writes in, so Fiddlesticks, what the fuck is with people not playing this absolute monster of a support? For me, he ticks several boxes for what you would want out of a non-carry position: CZ, damage, poke, peel, sustainability, and playmaking. Why does he get so overlooked, especially at low Mars? Because Sin, I'm saying Sir, it's Sin Machina. What was it? Was it season 3 that Support Fiddlesticks was a monster? Or was it season 4? Doesn't matter.
Before the fear nerf happened.
Season 3 elements played him in the NA finals.
There was a
Jarvan Fiddlesticks.
What? Oh god,
there was
elements.
There was a fear nerf, but the more important nerf was the E nerf, where they kept changing the code behind how E works so that it couldn't bounce off it couldn't bounce between two champions more than once if there was like another minion close. I can't remember the exact logic that they applied to it, but basically you couldn't just eat a quarter or more of your life between two champions based on the bounces. And then they nerfed the fear a bit, and they also, I think they nerf the range on E as well. They nerfed something else. I want to say it was either
on the tether. I think on Drain happened too.
Yeah, so they just nerfed a whole bunch of little things that would stop Fiddlestick support from being so good. Now, Fiddlestick support can be fantastic. I do think it can still work, but he's not like a monster, as you would say. He brings that surprise cheese factor at this point that low MMRs can really take advantage of because he's not seen often. But because of those other changes, he just doesn't do as well. He doesn't have the poke and silence and the pressure as he previously did, thanks to the logic changes through some of his abilities.
I think his mana pool isn't the strongest either, so he can struggle to sustain the poke with his E.
I don't think Fiddlesticks is very easy to play either, honestly, which in terms of the low MMR specifically, that part of it.
I mean, and he gets countered pretty hard by Janna.
Sure.
Well, yeah,
She's all rage.
Shields just kind of counter the shit out of him, right?
I want to support Fiddlesticks, and I'm looking at the stats, and he's performing better than you probably think he does at everything. But he requires a lot of nuance and understanding to play. It seems really simple to describe what you're supposed to do with Fiddlesticks, but it takes a lot of work and effort. And if you're being successful with him, that's great. I'm glad to hear it, and keep doing your thing because especially in low MMRs, I think it's really likely that you're going to run into people that just don't know how to deal with it. But he requires a lot of nuance, and so and then the things that you learn with Fiddlesticks are not skills that translate very well to other champions.
He's pretty much a character you have to dedicate to learning, kind of like Shaco, and they just very unique.
Yeah, that's why so many people one-trick him, because not many other champions just jump over walls and then eliminate the entire enemy team.
Yeah, here it is. Dark Wind will now prioritize enemy champions that have not yet been hit, meaning it's going to hit prioritize enemies that have not yet been hit, meaning it's not going to bounce between two champions in bottom lane if they're standing close to each other. It's going to bounce between the champions and start hitting minions instead. That was in 4.21. Because that was his big thing, right? He'd cast it and start bouncing back and forth between the carry and the support, chunking you for half your life, and you just couldn't do anything about it. So, yeah, no, keep playing Fiddlesticks. I'm not telling you not to, Sin. I'm just saying that he's not. The way it reads is you're saying that he's like a monster. Everyone should be playing him, and I think he definitely does well in the lower elos and can do well. But yes, the finesse and whatnot really holds him back from performing to the highest echelons of supports. But that's the last listener question we're going to go over tonight, as it is 9:00 and we've been going for an hour and we've had a lot to talk about. Anything else anybody else wants to say? Any last words before I usher us out?
See you later, my dogs.
Yeah, good luck climbing.
Yeah, good luck climbing. 2 months. We're gonna hit diamond this season. At least Dom and I are. I don't give a fuck about the rest of you guys.
I'm still in gold.
You got time, dude. I'm telling you, you're
I
gonna
think I'm
skip
gold
shit.
1 promos so and catch up.
Right. Oh yeah, dude. If you're in gold 1
I can do
promos,
some solo catch up. I'll probably do that for the next month.
you'll hit plat 5, and then you'll start gaining
I'll
massive.
jump in with you.
Okay,
Dude.
sweet. Are you in gold as well? Okay, we can do that.
Yep,
Todd,
gold
Todd, where you
something.
at? You plat 1.
Yeah, plat 1, I think.
Dude, I'm telling
Todd's-
you, we're gonna make
Todd's gonna get there first.
Yeah, right. We're gonna make a diamond team here. I'm telling you, next season we're rolling with our diamond flex borders. This is happening. So
How many seasons to LCS?
infinite. All right, I'm going to end it there. Guys, thanks for listening to the podcast. Thanks for watching us live. This episode, 474 of the Trinity Force podcast. We love you all. Thank you for everything, and we will see you on Wednesday with another episode and more discussion. Peace.
Later.
Peace.
All right.